Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new here, my name's Cassidy. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to everyone who watched my last video. It was so nice to see some comments and see more views than I would usually get. It was just so nice and I appreciate all of the views and all the love, so thank you so much. Also, please, I tried to make my bookshelf look as nice as I could for this video, but it is so bare because I took all of my books, pretty much, except for these, back home because I'm moving and I will take you along on that journey. But they're at home. I'm going back there next week. Then I'm moving on up. I'm going to the big city. Anyways, that's not important. Well, it is, but not for this video. So anyways, just ignore the bareness of these shelves. That hurts my heart. Today's video is a fun kind of spur of the moment video I just decided to do. It's Stuff Your Kindle Day from Amazon. I didn't even know this was a thing. Oh, also, please ignore this stain. No one saw that. But I randomly saw it and I was like, oh, this is a big sleigh. Stuff Your Kindle Day, how many times can I say it? It's basically where a bunch of books become free and you can download them and keep them on your Kindle, because I have Kindle Unlimited and I love it, but it's so annoying that I can only have 20 books in my library at one time and then I have to constantly return a book. So these books that you download, they're always on your Kindle. You don't ever have to return them. They're yours. You own them. So I thought it would be fun to see what kind of books they have and do a little book haul with you guys. So let's get into it. Okay, so I found this website, romancebookworms.com. They did the most. Shout out to them. So obviously the majority of the books I read are romance. This website has all of the romance books that are gonna be on this Stuff Your Kindle list. It has all sorts of different categories. So there's young adult romance, steamy contemporary romance, historical romance, fantasy romance. So it's all sorts, and you can just go on the category and click on that and see all the different books, which is super cool. So that's what I'm gonna use, because I think just going on and scrolling through, I'm just gonna be scrolling for so long, which I will be scrolling for a while on this website, but they also have a little summary of each book, which is nice. So I think that's what I'm gonna use to pick out a few or a lot of books. Okay, I'm back and I ended up getting 8 books. And okay, so I think that all of the books that are on this Stuff Your Kindle Day, I think they're mostly indie authors, which is super cool. But then you also get the and I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't come off wrong, but you get those books where you see them and it's it's the covers that you'd be embarrassed if people saw you reading these books. It's straight up the picture of, not even it's not a drawing, it's not a cutesy little thing. No, it's a picture of a man with badly photoshopped tattoos and his shirt off, and it's Devour Me, or that's the title or something. That's what some of these books give. But sometimes those books are good. It's just that I tend to not gravitate towards them because of the cover. But regardless, I got 8 books and I'm very excited. So here's what I got. Okay, the first book is The Girl He Needs by Christy Rose. Apparently this is the first book in a series, and the series is a No Strings Attached series. This book is an enemies to lovers. I don't really know too much about any of these books. I just kind of went with the vibes and I read a quick synopsis of it and I was like, cool, sounds good. Let's get it. It's free. Basically, Josie ends up going to Daytona Beach and getting a temp job. I guess on her way there, her car breaks down or whatever happens, and this guy Bryn comes. They're strangers and he ends up taking her home, or she gets a ride with him. And then that ends up being who she's working for at her temp job. So I guess they're enemies to lovers. I don't know, sounds good. I'm always a enemies to lovers fan, so we'll see. This next book is, I'm embarrassed for this cover. Please no one judge me. And by no one, I mean my grandpa who's watching, please don't judge me for this book cover because they're just really bad covers sometimes, okay? I'm sorry. But this one is called Burned. It's a cowboy romance. You know I like them. The Cade Ranch series. I haven't heard of it, but you know, it's the first book in that one. I mean, this is like your classic cowboy who runs a ranch and he has all of his brothers there. His mom's going through chemo and he's like trying to just keep their family all together. And then what do you know? A girl pops in, Everleigh, I don't know. Anyways, she comes. I don't know how. She just falls into his life, apparently. And he starts feeling all the feelings. And that's all I really know. You know, cowboy romance. I love it. Okay, next up, another bit of a cringy cover. This is Defiant Heart by Brighton Walsh. And it's another book 1 of a series. An enemies to lovers small town romance. Perfect for me. Apparently this is the Starlight Cove series, the first book. Okay, I'm reading the synopsis of this one and I do remember this is about a sheriff of Starlight Cove. Okay, that's where Starlight Cove comes in. Apparently the girl she's a rule breaker and he's constantly dealing with her getting in trouble. She's running a yoga class without a license and this bothers the sheriff a lot because he doesn't want bad press. He's gonna do whatever it takes to take this girl down, even if that means taking her down in bed. I don't know. You know, it sounds good, okay? I'll read it, fine. God, don't force me. You don't have to. Okay, the next book, we're switching it up a little bit. I believe this is a historical. I think this is a historical romance. This is called An Indecent Invitation, and it's by Laura Trentham. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. This is also book 1 of a series, and the series is called Spies and Lovers. This follows Lady Lily Drummond. Lady Lily Drummond, at your service. It's giving British. This says, warning, this book contains spies, scandals, naughty liaisons in houses of ill repute, men who think they know everything, and women who know they do not. Oh, the women know the men don't know everything. Okay. I thought it was saying that women know that themselves, like the women know that they're not smart, and I was like, whoa, I don't like that. Just kidding. Okay, so Lily's dad is a master spy and he's been missing for like months and she wants to help find him, and I guess the person who's like making sure that she like doesn't get involved in this, they have a romance together. He's like trying to keep her safe, so it feels like a bodyguard romance but like historical element to it, which I'm here for. Okay, next up we have How to Choose a Guy in 10 Days by Leela Monroe. This just like caught my attention because How to Choose a Guy in 10 Days, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. One of my favorite movies, and if you haven't seen it, you need to see it now. It's so good. But anyways, that's what it reminded me of. Okay, so basically this is a like Grumpy Sunshine romance, and Gemma is up for a promotion and she has to basically like the movies, early 2000s movies maybe, where like a character goes from being nerdy to not nerdy and they like make them hot at the end and like change their style and they get a haircut. It's like The Princess Diaries. There's a ton of movies. I don't need to explain that trope to you, but you know what I mean. That's what this is. So she picks her next door neighbor, and apparently he just like pulled out of a tech startup that he was part of. So he has money, but he just went through a breakup. So he's like taking a step back and he's just like doing nothing. So he's letting himself go a tad bit and he's just chilling in sweatpants all the time, which pop off. And so that's who she chooses for this makeover, and it turns into something more. The next book that I got is Curse of Shadows and Thorns, which is a dark fairy tale romance, and it's book 1 of the Broken Kingdom series, and it's by LJ Andrews. This is also maybe like fantasy romance. It's definitely not like a contemporary. It's about a princess and a kingdom and kings, and not normally what I would read, but it was like really intriguing to me. Elise is the niece of a king, and she's rebellious, and she like she likes to do things she's not supposed to do, like go into gambling dens. And then her uncle is like, her dad's about to die. I don't know if her uncle is like gonna kill her already ill father or like what's happening there, but she's basically forced into a marriage. They're not actually supposed to be together, but then starts like a forbidden romance trope and they start like liking each other. But then, okay, this is the part. So then their attraction's growing. There's like all this dangerous stuff happening, like a cursed enemy and Fae returning for the crown. And this gives A Court of Thorns and Roses, because that's the only like fantasy romance I've ever read, and there were Fae in that book. But I know that that's just like a classic fantasy element. So I am excited to read this because I do love being like pulled into a world that's so unlike the real world. The next book I got is Running Into You by K.M. Gillis, and it's a best friend's brother trope. It's forced proximity, friends to lovers. I love all these tropes, so I'm sure I'm gonna like this. But Betty's content in her life and she's cool with just watching reality TV, which so true. And then her best friend's brother moves in, like right down, like 2 doors down from her. He sort of changes things for Betty, and I think his name's Josh. And shout out Josh. And Betty is like doing a marathon training thing for work, and he offers to help train her, and then they start spending more time together, and you know what happens. The last book I got is called Enemies with Benefits, and if that doesn't sound like the perfect book to read, I don't know what does. It's a workplace romance, it's enemies to lovers, which reminds me that I kind of want to reread The Hating Game, because I actually listened to that on audiobook, so maybe I'll actually read that. Well, like, you know, physically read it. Basically, the main like girl character, she has been enemies with this guy Eli since they were like super young, and then they end up working together, and once they're co-workers, he's like good looking, but they also don't get along at all. So then I guess they go into like a enemies with benefits situation, but it turns into more. So I don't know. I mean, I love an office romance. It's just like, I love reading that. So those are the 8 books I got for the Stuff Your Kindle Day. I'm super happy with this little mini haul. I think it's so fun. I didn't even know that Kindle did this. So this was really cool to just like be on my phone today and see that this was happening, and it prompted this video that otherwise I wasn't gonna film today. So that's super cool. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know if you guys got any books today. I'd love to hear like what you got, if you got any of the same books. Anyways, see you in the next one.